Welcome back from that short break. Like we said earlier, we're talking about FCT flood predictions and level of preparedness. Preparedness. I'm not sure why. No, it's not the weather. I like this weather. Well, we're just talking about the FCT's level of preparedness, and with the flood prediction, according to the Nigerian Hydrological Service Agency, that forecasted the 2023 flood, showed that 178 local governments in 32 states of the Federation and the FCT fall within the highly probable flood risk areas, and 224 local governments in 35 states of the Federation, including the FCT, fall within the moderately probable flood risk areas. How can we mitigate all of this and the consequences that comes with it? In the studio, we have Mr. Shehu Ian Namtari, Chief Environmental Health Officer of the FCT Public Health Department, and Deborah Aziz, Assistant Chief Health Education Officer of the FCT Public Health Department. I must thank you for being part of the program.
Good morning and welcome to After Morning.
Thank you for having us.
Great. So we're talking of flood.
Yeah.
Everybody woke up this morning. I don't know about Abu, but I think everywhere in Abuja it rained. And it's been raining cats and dogs for the past couple of days.
Yes.
The rain in Abuja didn't start so early.
Yes.
It started, they started, we didn't use Nigerian language, say we younger, like it's coming, it's not coming, nobody is sure. Then when it started, it doesn't want to stop. It rains back to back to back every single day.
Exactly.
And of course, once we have rainfalls like that, it's expected. The sea level is rising, the tides are coming in. We saw what happened last year with the overflow in Kogi. So the question would be, how prepared, how ready? What would FCD, because meteorological agency has told us there will be floods. We can see the level of the rain. They've also told us there will be plenty lightning and thunder, and I think this is the one time I can remember hearing so much lightning and thunder. Even when it's not even that heavy, the rain, you're lightning and thunder. How ready is FCT to ensure that we don't have the kind of environmental hazard that we had last year?
Thank you very much. You know, definitely hazards come by their actual times. That's why it's part of the measures FCT is taking to sensitize the people, to bring awareness to people, so that people will change from their bad habits, bad attitudes that contribute to the flooding aspect.
Okay. What would be those bad habits, those attitudes? What do they need to change?
Yeah. The first thing is about the drainages. You see our people, everybody sweeping from the shop, from the doorstep, down the drainage and push them down the drainage. Others will carry their waste from the far away places. On their way going to the office, they drop into the drainage and move, thinking that they are doing good to their environment, without knowing that they are contributing to the hazards that may result into such menace called flooding. And when all these drainages are blocked, you know, water has only one direction. There is no longer you tell water than to look for a slopy places to continue going down. And you know, the way God created the soil, the land, is somehow go like this. So if it is this side is higher, there is no way you can, for example, this ASO radio, there is no how water will cloud to this place. But water from this place will flow down. On the process of floating down, when those waves are there, happen to block the chances, then the same rain will now push soil, the sun will come and meet it and raise a level, thereby causing a boundary wall. Then the water will now flow back. On the process of flowing back, even if you are the causer, the water has no excuse. You have no excuse to stop the water. It will come back to your shop, come back to your house. Small time you see people rushing to primary school, calling themselves IDP. We are the one causing this thing ourselves. Now, if at all everybody will open drainages, allow water to go free, definitely if you see areas where the water, the channel is so, the condition is so much above their standard, they will inform the local government. The local government will now open the drainage for them and allow this water to flow free. All these things, most of them are avoidable. Some people, you see them, they go to on a valley, very close to valley where water stagnant, or in the rain season. They will in the dry season come and build their house in the name that accommodation is too cost in Abuja. If accommodation is too close, must you stay inside the valley? Now, if you stay inside the valley, that valley is meant for water. Now that water will come, will water know that somebody is there? Water knows
will always find its way.
It will come and lodge there. Whether you are there or not, it's your own palaver. You can see that most of these things are artificial and can be avoidable.
But apart from the artificial one,
yes.
Like if you take a look at our screen just now, we're showing, at the floodings, and that flooding was actually at Galadimawa. I live around that axis, so I know that Galadimawa axis is always a very prone area when it's flooding. Yes. These are natural canals. I don't know I think the canals are small for the population that is around that place, maybe in terms of town planning, accepted that yes, we as human beings also play our own role. Yes. But we have also issues that are infrastructural that we need to develop on. Yes. So I should ask you, Deborah, apart from, so it will be two questions. How do we ensure what Nantani has said, that we don't throw those kind of things and then block our floodways? And then also address government infrastructure in expanding these canals so that there's, like he said, water can never flow back except it's blocked. So that there's a constant, easy flow towards the drainage.
Okay. Thank you for those questions. And like what Mr. Nantani said, these predicaments or this flooding is artificial. These are part of what we do, and we can easily mitigate this. Okay. So if you look at the Abuja Master Plan, we see that from social development secretariat and whatever, there are places for green areas, there are places for residential, there are places for commercial, but people tend to, use their maybe connections or whatever to build residential, houses in where it's supposed to be.
Green areas.
And as such, when rain falls and flood happens, it will affect them. Like he has rightly said, there is no way that water will say, oh, this is green area, I'm not coming there.
Somebody's living there, I will not come there.
I will not come to that place. They will easily find its way to those places. And what is government doing, like you rightly said? Well, government has done its part to put, what do they call it, to say this is what is needed to be done. They put the master plan on ground. It's now left to me and you to be informed, rightly informed. Before you go ahead to purchase a place for residential purposes, did you make investigation? Then what are the things that I'm doing as an individual? Like he has rightly said, putting waste into drainages and all those things. It is individual basis. If we can change our orientation to all these things, we can see that, flooding will be mitigated to the barest minimum.
Okay, so Mr. Namperi, we are putting the blame completely right now on individuals, you and I, and all of that. However, the ecological factors also play a big role, where predictions as to the quantity of rain, I'm not sure the proper word for it,
right, the
quantity of rain that will fall in a certain, also plays a big role. And we saw the devastating effect of the floods last year, where it affected several agricultural produce. So if you have to advise now, is there something we can do quickly as the rains have come? In spite of what has happened, we have not been very conscious, like you have mentioned, but is there something we can start doing right now to ensure it won't be as bad, devastating as it was last year?
Actually, whenever rain is coming, people need to strategize in the sense that both the authorities and the individuals, everybody has a role to play, because all these things are coming as a result of what is called climate change. Our climate is changing towards our own wrongdoing to the earth. You see people cutting trees, everything, so it's exposing us to more dangers. And definitely we must do something. What we are doing is not something that would help us instantly, but for some years to come. Let people start planting trees. If you destroy one, plant two. You hardly see somebody destroy. In fact, I am always happy when I saw those trees left in the entrance of ASO television radio.
Yes.
That's how it's supposed to be. All estates, if they come to clear the forest for estate development, they should look at the master plan very well. Any area that is not meant for construction, putting a structure, they should leave those trees. And if those trees are old enough to say, they may fall. If there is every tendency that they are too old, they may fall. Leave the younger ones. There are younger trees around. Leave them. Let them be continue. Those ones will mitigate for our years to come. You understand? The emergency one is let every waste be packed properly. They should dispose of waste properly. They should ensure that all channels are open very well. All the channels, all water channels are open very well. And anywhere they see there is sign of this thing, they should report to the government authorities, to the local government, to the development control, whoever is concerned. You understand? You know, the government too has its own role to play.
Absolutely.
Definitely. But in most cases, you see that all these things are left to only maybe to the common man, or in fact the local communities are highly exposed to this thing. I'm always concerned giving too much. I go to some villages, the way I see erosion is developing, even chopping the parts of their road. Road will be diverted from this direction to the other simply because something is happening and nobody is doing anything. Definitely, government will have to come. There are some areas they need to mitigate, do a kind of construction to avoid the erosion. This thing to avoid consuming the whole residential area into a flooding area.
Right.
Yes.
Talking about rural areas, Deborah, let me come to you. Talking about rural areas, we've talked about this, analyze the ecological effects that, of course, everybody knows we're talking about global warming now.
Exactly.
The ozone layer is thinning out, and it's not just in Nigeria, it's across
globally.
But let's come, and then one thing that we know that flood does is that it displaces some people. People have to move away from their residential areas to dry areas until the flood happens, and then we see quite a number of IDP camps springing up. We see, cluster and shelter of people. I know that when I was doing biology, I know that we had some water airborne. I know they said airborne diseases. Do we have anything like waterborne diseases that people should be expecting this period? And if we do, what should we do? Let me borrow the word both of you have used plenty. What should we do to mitigate out of it? Yes.
Yeah, we have waterborne diseases, and part of it is cholera.
Okay.
And it's not as if we don't have it all year round.
Okay.
But it's predominantly common during rainy season, and majorly when we have flooding like this.
Why?
We see that when somebody comes down with cholera, the major cause of cholera is febrile cholera here, and it's the infection of the intestine when somebody ingests or drink water that is contaminated with cholera bacteria. Okay. We see that in this process, when somebody comes down with this cholera, the consequence is so enormous, in the sense that if the person is not rehydrated on time, the person at the end of the day may lose his or her life. The person will start with maybe feverish condition, acute diarrhea, stooling frequently, with weakness of the body. And somebody at the end of the day may be weak if the person is not being rehydrated on time or taken to healthcare facility that is very close by. We can see that somebody will die. And if we look at the Nigeria situation on this cholera, we see that Center for Disease Control reported about that 12 states have reported cholera, yes, suspected cases even this year, and the case fatality is very, very high, about 79 deaths so far in this 2023, and we are just in May. You can look at the devastating effects of this, but personally, as an individual, we can just, like rightly said, mitigate all this. If, one, we go into personal hygiene, we do environmental hygiene. Personal hygiene in what way? You wash your veggies very well after buying it. We can see that during this rainy season, we have so many fruits and vegetables coming up in masses. Some people will just go to the market to buy it. They will not rinse it very well with clean water, quote and unquote, clean water with salt. Some people will just eat it raw. You buy mango on the roadside. You don't bother to come down back at home to come and wash it thoroughly before taking it. Some don't cook their food properly at home. And maybe you leave a leftover food. By the time you are coming back to take it, it needs to be warmed. Or while you are eating your food, you need to, serve it while hot. You eat it hot. So if we can put all these, things in places as an individual in the aspect of personal hygiene, we see that we can mitigate the effect of this cholera. Then environmental aspect of it, don't block drainages. Because the water that community A is using might be the stream coming from the community B is using might be the one coming from community A. Water descends. So by the time maybe community A has contaminated, is coming to my side, or the environmental factor, quote and unquote, as by human being or by any other factor, the water is contaminated already, and people just take it raw like that without chlorinating it or without boiling it for at least maybe 1 minute before drinking it. All this can cause cholera. And what government are doing is that, like we are here now, media sensitization. We are not here on our own. We are from public health department. We are sensitizing the general public so that they know what to do at the right time to mitigate this effect of cholera. Then we do jingles. We hear our jingles in most of your radio stations, so that people will know what to do at this particular point in time.
Are you doing the jingles in native languages? Because most people that we're addressing and targeting, even though Lord has no respecter of persons, you understand? Yeah. A big man can be dropped. I've actually seen a car in front of me, that's in Galadimoa, a couple of years ago, just float into the water and then he went with it. So, but we like to think that it's the uneducated people that need awareness and sensitization. So are we doing this awareness and sensitization in their native languages, baggy languages, for people in the FCT, that Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, not just English or Pidgin English, but the one that these rural people that have little or no education can understand and know. Water no get enemy, but you get enemy. You understand that kind of thing? Yes. So people need to understand that it's something worrisome. Are we doing that?
Yeah, thank you so much, sis. We do our jingles in local languages, not ordinarily English alone. Okay. Even we go as far as going down to Pidgin English, and we go into baggy, the Hausa language, so that even layman on the streets will be able to know all this. Then our social behavioral change communication material, people normally call it IEC material, information, education, and communication material, are being pre-tested and done in local languages as well, so that even educated or non-educated can easily have access to this when we go to markets, to schools, and we distribute all these flyers so that they will be well informed. We create awareness using local languages, as you rightly said.
Okay. Mr. Antani, before we let you go, I think my colleague will ask the final question, then we'll let you go. But they say flooding never gives warning. However, it gives notice. Because it gives a notice to say, like all of you have been doing, you're creating awareness, it's going to be flooded, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. The National Meteorological Agency has also given us the predictions, So everybody mentally is aware that Nigeria would be experiencing in certain states flooding incidents in 2023. Is the Public Health Department does it have any strategy for evacuation for people when in those places that are prone areas? Maybe you have done your map line and say, okay, certain areas are prone to flood, and when the flood comes, we have an evacuation in place. So do you have any evacuation policies or practices that we should know about?
With the FCT, there are many departments. Each one is having its own mandate, its own role to play.
Okay.
We have FCT, Emergency Management Agency. They are more responsible. The junior to FEMA in the federal level, and we have the FCT. Same yes, they are always there for that.
Okay.
Yes.
So do they last with people? Yeah, because I know that even when they are going to evacuate, you might have people, like you said, cholera. You might have people that have some kind of public health need.
If this kind of thing, God forbid, but in case if it happens while the state emergency are doing their own evacuation. The public health department is doing their own diagnosis, taking to hospital, emergency ambulance van, taking them for treatment and care. Yeah. That's what we do. We work in collaboration. All of the departments in the university, we will collaborate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my last question is just going to be that, I mean, in all of this, I know there are places that are more prone to this flooding. So we've had all the dry season. In that time, did you take your advocacy to those places that are prone to ensure that they leave or start deciding to evacuate way before the rain?
Yes, actually, these things are done through the community level. Okay. There are some sensitization stages that we normally go to the community level. Community, what do you call them, the district head, the chiefs, the dagasi, the Mangwa, the village, we see them, we gather their people, inform them, we gather and we address them. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you want to say something? Yes, because we have a few more seconds to end. Okay. So, but go ahead, yes.
Okay, we advocacy is like, to opinion leaders. We believe that people listen more to them. You know, we just, talk to them so that they can cascade the information down to the grassroots. So that is why we pay advocacy visit to them, so that they will be able to create more awareness in the language that their people will understand.
Okay, so thank you very much. Unfortunately, we want to go join another program, but let me say thank you. We have to say thank you to Shehu Iya Namkari, the Chief Environmental Health Officer, FCT Public Health, for the department, and then Deborah Aziz, Assistant Chief Health Education Officer, for creating more enlightenment for people, you know, as to get ready against the flood that would definitely come. Thanks for being on After Morning.
Thank you.
Great. And then we're now going over to join NTA Live for the inauguration. We have a new president coming up in a few minutes, and the Nigerians are excited. It's a renewed hope. Stay tuned, and then we'll be tuned in. I'm Ifunanya Yvonne Amafili.
And I am Joy Asoye. So good to know you were with us. Have a wonderful watch.